The exclusion of youth from policy-making processes and power structures, deliberate or unintentional, can create significant tensions in society, which can manifest itself in forms that represent a serious threat to the social fabric, such as, for example, crime and violence. Now, in the worst cases, a poor economic and social environment can foster conditions in which youth without prospects are manipulated by leaders and are recruited or forced into armed conflicts. Now, if I would ask you here in the room the question, where or when the largest youth gathering was last year, you would not have imagined this answer. Almost 20,000 youngsters were attracted to the Middle East region and recruited by ISIS last year. And as the Special Envoy on Youth, Mr. Al-Hindawi, mentioned, the dominant discourse on youth often portrays young people as either victims or perpetrators of violence. We can't ignore that young people are the main demography to be radicalized, and that youth who experience violence and displacement have their future jeopardized. So luckily things slightly started to change, and on the 9th of December 2015, the United Nations Security Council adopted the first ever thematic resolution on youth, peace and security. The document outlines the duties of parties to armed conflict to protect young people in conflict and post-conflict settings. It also calls governments to promote youth participation in decision-making at all levels, including in processes of peace building. Now, to conclude my statement, young people can play a critical role throughout the implementation of the SDG cycles, including in contributing to effective accountability by being involved in the decisions that affect them, and by contributing to the monitoring of results on the ground. And we, as youth delegates, can maybe function at this point as a bridge between you and your government. And perhaps most importantly, together with you, we can help to ensure that any new set of commitments is fulfilled by governments and all others who will contribute toward achieving the post-2015 agenda. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Saya, for highlighting the importance of engaging with young people at the front line, also of the response to crisis, and in particular the role that young people can play as volunteers. And thank you as well for advocating for the Youth Delegates program as UN entity, as a UN entity here. Always very happy to support.
Years to come. I thank you.
Thank you very much. Before we take more comments, is there any reaction from our panelists or any takeaway message that you would like to share, or any comments? Saya? I don't want to put you on the spot.
No, sure. Thanks for the remarks in the room. Maybe something from my own experience as a youth delegate. As we have highlighted today, despite often engaging as positive change makers, youth remains underrepresented in political spaces. As we mentioned, policymakers often dismiss their perspective and needs. And even for us as youth delegates here at the UN, at the UN process, it can be frustrating at some times. And despite some examples of progress, for the most part, there is still a failure by decision makers to recognize the value of young people's contribution to the program's development and policy making. And the perception that policymaking is an activity which is for experts and that young citizens do not have the necessary skills, expertise, or knowledge continues to prevail. But yet we try not to lose hope as youth delegates and try to do our best, even if sometimes it's a hard job. And can I be frankly here in the room as a youth delegate? Okay. For example, last year we had a youth resolution during the Commission for Social Development, and we had some great speeches yesterday by some member states who were sometimes co-hosting this resolution. And in fact, in most cases, the youth delegates were excluded from this process. So I hope by this forum, again, that we can promote this program and that we can see what is said before, the meaningful participation of youth delegates in the program. Was that my sign? Thanks, I was finished.
Just when you wanted to be frank. Okay.